So is Bitcoin a good store of value? Great question, especially since we keep hearing this from respectable members of the crypto community and shrewd investors. Check this out.
Bitcoin it's an ideal store of value because it's got the ability to convey your energy, not across 10,000 miles, but across 10,000 days, 30 years in the future, 100 years in the future. Most people, when they're investing in assets, they're taking this.
I'm not sure what it means. This is what's called a thermodynamic argument for Bitcoin. It refers to the laws of thermodynamics, which state that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only transformed from one form to another. In other words, the energy used to power Bitcoin's proof of work algorithm is not wasted or lost, but is instead transformed into a source and decentralized network that can facilitate transactions and store value. The store of value. I honestly have no idea what thermodynamics have to do with value storage, honestly. Call me an ignorant hack, but I've never heard this argument being used in relation to any other well-established value storage than Bitcoin. I'll keep looking, but I don't know if a business issues stock or a developer builds an apartment complex. I've never heard them say that in addition to obvious benefits, their asset will yield the energy spent on developing it back to society and or get put on the grid or whatever. I just don't think that the one has anything to do with the other, but that's me. Moving on. Let's see.
Very short-term view of like the next month, the next year, the next 2 years. And I find that if you're looking at a 3-year time frame, everything is very, very noisy and complicated, and there's all these debates. But if you want to end the debates, go at 100 years. And just take $100 million and go through the exercise of giving it to someone, your heir.
So one thing that really bothers me is that Bitcoin advocates like Saylor here, virtually all of them, they start with the value storage thing, but soon they always slip into investing. They always have to show that their asset is the best performer out there, and that's why it's also the best storage possible. I see it as a major contradiction in terms. Investors want to make money. If they're not, they will invest somewhere else, whereas value storage, the concept of preservation of value, I think is very different. Had it not been so, we would have never heard of savings account, government bonds, FDIC, and many other entities tasked with making sure that you don't get ripped off. Okay, let's move on.
Heirs heir in 100 years, and then all of a sudden all this noise drops away. Can I put it in real estate? No, it'll be taxed out of existence in 100 years. Can I put it in gold? No, 98% of it will be gone if 100% of it isn't gone in 100 years because it'll be money to death. Can I put it in fiat? No, it's going to be inflated to death. Can I invest it in a company? No. Name one company that's around today that was around 100 years ago that hasn't been diluted, recapitalized, etc. Can I put it in a stock index? Well, you're trusting a human being to rebalance the index, over and over again. What stock index do you trust for the next 100 years? And by the way, it's got counterparty risk at the nation state level. Nation might not be there. And
okay, so this $100 million talk is what really gets my goat. We have a name for people who have problems like preserving the value of their $100 million fortunes. They're called the one percenters. Bitcoin as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system wasn't designed to help the rich carry their fortune across borders tax-free. That's not what it's all about. And yet Saylor proposes this weird thought experiment where you get to find a way to successfully bequeath your money bags to your grand whatever with no regard to society, its needs, the realities that may arise over the 100 years, scientific developments, new technologies, wars, famine, climate, all kinds of calamities, the new alliances, political and otherwise, basically the new global order. But he proposes we'll look at it as if 100 years, the financial system will, as if in 100 years, financial system will remain as broken as it is today. And people like us at TRASTRA will sit idly by instead of working every day on viable solutions to fix it, improve on it, and find a way to make it more accessible for the rest of the people.
90% didn't make it. So what are you left with? The truth is, when you just do that thought experiment, it's pretty obvious. You would put it in a crypto network and a decentralized proof of work network if the adherents, the maximalists, were fanatic zealots.
So let me just see if I get this. For all I know, is going through some of the faults and shortcomings of capitalism that in time could be replaced, best case scenario, with a socialism with a human face. A system that a progressive president of Czechoslovakia, Alexander Dubček, had proclaimed a viable and desired replacement for communism in 1968 during the Prague Spring. Worst case scenario, I don't know, let's not go there. Things in the world are already as depressing as they can be. Let's just hope that 100 years from now, we won't be living in a garbage dump with faster computers. One other thing, he's talking about some sort of zealots that are I mean, let's give it another run here.
Centralized proof of work and 90% didn't make it. So what are you left with? The truth is, when you just do that thought experiment, it's pretty obvious. You would put it in a crypto network and a decentralized proof of work network if the adherents, the maximalists, were fanatic zealots about protecting the integrity of the network against meddlers who would screw it up. If the network is supported by those with a religious conviction to the network, such that you could imagine 100 years from now, there will still be people protecting the network.
So let me see if I got this. So he basically dismisses all the arguments for storing your value in anything that people are storing value of their assets today, and instead he proposes that you put your assets into a network that's protected by some zealots that are going to be religiously adhering to that network, to protecting it no matter what, going to be ready to, I guess, die for their convictions. To be perfectly honest with you, I mean, I'm always trying to be gentle and subtle with my formulations, but I think it sounds like a rantings of a lunatic. If history had taught us anything at all, it's that when we deal with zealots, with religious fanatics that are fanatical about just anything, whether be it protecting some sort of a network or protecting their religious beliefs or protecting their national identity, wink wink, we know by now that dealing with fanatics never ends well. I'm not sure what Saylor is trying to argue for here, but let's just let's keep listening.
The phrase is keepers of the flame, right? Every great religion, every great institution has keepers of the flame, and there must be passion. Do you believe in your religion? Do you believe strong enough that you'll flee persecution to continue to practice it, right? The United States was built on the foundation, the separation of church and state. Mm-hmm. And it's a pretty important and interesting metaphor. People came here.
Right, and Saylor's final thought, his conclusion, is absolutely fascinating in its presumptuousness. He suggests that all the ills that he just described can be fixed by putting your money in some sort of a crypto vault overseen by religious zealots, whose religion apparently is proof of work consensus or something. It's just weird, running parallels with the 17th century and the Mayflower and how they came to America to escape religious prosecution. That's pretty crazy, I gotta tell you. All right, so enough of this. The truth is, people like myself love to hate Michael Saylors of the world because their self-interest is so transparent that, in a way, it validates their argument. They're honest about promoting an asset, and I'm honest about not wanting to, sharing their exuberance for a number of reasons. In the end, we both go to our separate corners, respecting each other's positions, hopefully. So here's my position, and it basically aligns with that of the folks at Seeking Alpha. So I'm going to borrow heavily from this article that I'm going to highly recommend you guys read because it's fascinating. It's short and very informative, and basically opens and closes the book on whether or not Bitcoin is a good storage of value. So, firstly, we have to look at the concept of value, which I got to tell you isn't as simple as it sounds. Value is as relative as it is subjective. We see value in food. It may be real estate. It may even be a collectible, in which case the value is more subjective than objective. You may see value in a Picasso. I may not. In a zombie apocalypse, you may see all the value in that Picasso, but I would prefer the objective value of a bazooka and an infinite supply of missiles for it. For example, the real estate market crashed in 2009, but it's recovered because over the long term, real estate not only holds its value, but its value also increases due to the abundance of utility in a home and the fact that land has many ways that value can be extracted from it, and because there's a finite amount of it. I know Bitcoin also finite, but it's a different type of finality. We're not going to get into that right now. But if you believe that one day Bitcoin will stabilize, shed all its current imperfections, and become a store of value, well, that's great. That's great. But why would you hold any Bitcoin until that day arrives? When that happens, what if it ends up at 1-to-1 exchange ratio with the US dollar and you bought it at 29 grand a piece? Not only will you have realized Bitcoin wasn't a great store of value, but you will also be very poor and extremely pissed. So let me just skip all the popular arguments against Bitcoin being a store of value. Volatility, the absence of intrinsic value, its unreliability as the means of exchange, and let me get to my favorite one, okay? So my favorite argument is this. Nobody really gives a shit about Bitcoin. Nobody really needs it. Sure, if you want to be a sovereign individual, fine, go play. Ethereum's infinite potential for smart contracts designed to facilitate decentralized transfers of value locked into thousands of all kinds of tokens caters specifically to individuals like you. ingenious whiz kids who prefer to live in the matrix and still for a few more months or perhaps a couple of years are going to be able to make money doing so. But storing value in Bitcoin, nah. It's a silly proposition at best. Now, am I saying don't buy Bitcoin, don't have anything to do with it? No. No way, Jose. Au contraire, invest in it, trade it, earn with it. More power to you if you can, if you know how to do it. In fact, TRASTRA's got a full infrastructure to help you out with that. But do not do what Michael Saylor suggests you should do. Do not buy a shitload of Bitcoin with your paycheck and forget about it for 100 years. That's a no-no. This is not a good way to go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this one. Hopefully I didn't go too long, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.